Okay, dear committee, dear audience, let me start with my thesis title, Eating and Feeding Difficulties in Children with Autism Spectrum Disorder from Background to Tailored Treatment. My name is Krisztina Szalkay. I'm a pediatrician and a child adolescent psychiatrist work at Bethesda Children's Hospital. My vision is equality for autistic children and their families. My mission is identification of potential evidence-based therapeutic targets in autism with eating and feeding disorder. To achieve that, I have two projects ongoing. My first specific goal is investigating the differences in feeding and sensory profile between children with and without autism spectrum disorder by conducting a systematic review and a meta-analysis. What do we know about the background? Autism is more and more commonly diagnosed neurodevelopmental disorder with a 2.2% estimated prevalence. Early diagnosis of autism is crucial in influencing the prognosis, as early intervention significantly improves cognitive and adaptive functioning of these children. With current screening practices, autism is commonly diagnosed late, especially in patients with less obvious symptoms. The underdiagnosis leads to significant personal, family, and societal burdens. To improve early detection, novel approaches are needed that move beyond screening with uniform checklists at a single time point. It is necessary to focus on the earliest manifestations. Our study highlights the sensory processing issues and the feeding difficulties, both of which occur at extremely high rates in autism from a very young age and can be permanent over time. Our aim is to investigate the impact of autism on sensory processing and feeding difficulties in children, to explore these factors as potential early screening tools. We ask, does the presence of autism in children result in more severe atypical sensory processing and feeding difficulties? So we investigate children, exposure is autism, the comparator is in autistic development, and we have two different outcomes, the severity of feeding and sensory difficulties. The hypothesis, autistic children have more severe sensory processing and eating difficulties compared to those without. I've conducted the systematic search in 4 databases, and after selection process, 49 articles were found to be eligible for the study. About the main results, on the first figure, you can see the forest plot where we analyze the total score and 3 subscale scores of brief autism mealtime behavior inventory and 1 subscale score of child's eating behavior questionnaire. Both inventories are reporting on the frequency of problematic behavior during mealtimes. The higher score indicates a more severe feeding disorder, and the subscales refer to different aspects of mealtime behavior. We use the results of 5 trials to analyze the total score, and for analyzing the limited food variety subscale score, we were able to include 7 different trials with the data of nearly 800 children. All studies are cross-sectional, comparing autistic and non-autistic population. The heterogeneity is moderate to high, possibly due to the social and cultural differences of this population. We use standardized mean difference for our statistical analysis. As you can see, all the values are positioned on the right side. It means all children, in all cases, autistic children had more severe feeding problems. The total score SMD value is 1.41, which is considered large. In addition, all subscales exhibit a moderate to large differences as well. The largest difference can be observed in the limited food variety subscale, which is highly important in our study, as it clearly confirms the importance of the sensory processing in mealtime difficulties, because this subscale, which is precisely reflects on sensory processing out of the 3-1. The results are statistically also significant. On the second plot, as a second outcome, we analyzed the total score and the scores of 7 domains of short sensory profile inventory, which is a parent-reported inventory reporting on a frequency of atypical behavioral and emotional responses to sensory inputs. Here, the lower score indicates a more frequent atypical response. And yes, and we have different versions of this sensory profile inventory. So with using SMD, we were able to compare them. So we altogether included 7 studies with the data of more than 600 children. Now all the values are positioned on the left side. It means in all cases and in all modalities, autistic children had more severe atypical behavioral responses. The SMD values are highlighted. They are considered large except in 2 modalities. What is surprising, the largest difference can be seen in tactile modality, and the taste-smell modality is only the 4th in line. It means that if we compare the sensory profile of autistic and non-autistic children, the largest difference can be found in the tactile modality, and this result is clinically highly relevant, especially in terms of eating, and statistically also significant. So the strength of the study is that this is a comprehensive review of the topic, and with detailed analysis we were able to confirm the clinical role of each subscales. The limitations are the small number of the studies and the heterogeneity of measurement methods. We conclude that the prevalence and the clinical severity of both eating and sensory disorders are significantly higher in the autistic population. So based on this result, children with either feeding disorder or sensory disturbances should be screened for autism. In the future, the predictive values of mealtime behavior and sensory problems for autism should be determined in order to suggest evidence-based nationwide screenings. Here we are now. I'm currently working on the manuscript. So let me shortly present our second project, which is strongly related to the meta-analysis. We are planning a nationwide survey on screening of the prevalence and association of feeding difficulties and autistic traits in the Hungarian early childhood population. Our study is based on the clinical phenomenon that eating-feeding problems are commonly the first signs of autism and appear well before the onset of the typical behavioral symptoms. These clearly noticeable marked symptoms can easily mask the underlying neurodevelopmental conditions, leading to failure of appropriate, timely diagnosis and early intervention. Without that, severe consequences of untreated autism and eating problems can be expected. So our aim is to investigate the prevalence of autistic traits and feeding disturbances in general population to be able to develop a screening battery for the earliest detection of autism. We simply ask what is the prevalence of these factors in the Hungarian early childhood population. We use COCOPA framework, and the hypothesis is that the prevalence of autistic traits and feeding difficulties is higher in the Hungarian early childhood population compared to previous data. The study has important clinical implications, especially for patients, as early detection and personalized intervention decreases the consequences of both eating problems and autism conditions. For policymakers, the message is that targeted early screening practices required. So here is the summary of my 2 ongoing projects, and I would like to thank you for your attention. With brilliant thoughts of Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, the things that make me different are the things that make me me. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. So my question is related to your first project. Yeah. Have you considered stratifying the data to age groups there, or was all the study from the same age group? I thought maybe it's a co-founder there.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Patients were between 2 and 17 years of age. So we are considering, yes, there is a discussion with the statistician colleague right now, but it will be very useful to see how does it work in the different age groups. Yes, I totally agree. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
very important topic. And you mentioned that the implication that personalized intervention can be useful. Can you please give some examples for the solution, especially the sensory aversion to food?
Yes, thank you very much. It's a very good question, a very useful question as well. So, for example, if a child doesn't eat well or eats selective way, many colleagues are focusing only the taste and the smell, so these perioral modalities, and try to do this sensitization, desensitization therapy and so on. But when we know that the tactile modality matters more, we assume that these modalities, for example, we should encourage the children that walk on barefoot or touch some texture, not only the food, but other things, or wear different clothes, different types of clothes. So there are many possibilities in that from the therapeutic aspect.
Thank you very much. This is really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question concerning the professional protocol. You know, a few years back, now we finally have a protocol for autism diagnosis and therapy. Given these results, how should we improve or modify this protocol? Is there any way how your results could contribute to that?
That is the reason what we are conducting this screening in the whole population. So we hypothesize that the early screening of the feeding difficulties would improve the efficacy of the current early screening practices. This is our hypothesis, and that's why we conducting this. So. Is it a
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
This is it.
Thank you.
It's a really good topic. I just want to ask, are you planning to screen children under 1 year? Because I think, it's hard, but it would be a really early phase where you can see these children. And my other thing for that, do you plan to screen the body weight loss? Because if these children do not have appetite, they will have weight loss. Is it an outcome? I didn't see it.
We are going to create a questionnaire, and the weight status and the height status will be there as well. Not all the children are underweight. So according to literature, 20% of them are obese, surprisingly. So it is a very important question, both of them. we have to think both of them. So the 18 months, it's very important, yes, focusing on the very earliest signs, but they are not specific at all. So I have to say that from 6 months or from 1 year, we can see the specific signs. So if you want to screen the autistic traits, we have to choose the 18 months because all the questionnaires are related to this age. But it is very important, and some in the future, maybe yes, we should do this. Thank you very much.
Thanks.